So you're looking to learn how to start your first Airbnb business. By the way, it's a very lucrative business. Here in Brooklyn, I had over 6 apartments that I rented out. Now, there are some key things to consider when starting your first Airbnb business. Number one, you got to make sure that the regulation is good for your particular neighborhood that you would like to start your first Airbnb business. Here in Brooklyn, they have banned Airbnb pretty much throughout the entire city. Now, there are some exceptions or some exemptions to the rule. So I stopped doing Airbnb business because of these rules they have in place, which is that you cannot operate an Airbnb business in a residential neighborhood. It has to be in a hotel zone neighborhood. Now, there's one exception, such as if you have a townhouse or if you live in the same building as let's say you have a 2-bedroom apartment and you want to rent out one room, you can do that. Or if you have 2 apartments and you want to rent out one of the apartments as an Airbnb business, as long as you live there, you can do so. But in most cases here in Brooklyn, that's not the case. Typically what I would do is I would rent, let's say, an apartment, 3-bedroom apartment from an owner, and I would pay him the rent. Now, I would tell the owner that the apartment was from myself. Now, that is not the truth. However, that's what I did. And the owner would say, okay, I'll give you the apartment. And then from there, I put that apartment on the Airbnb app. And then I would rent out that apartment to folks. And what happens is, that the people that live in that building don't like the traffic. They don't like people coming in and out of the apartment. Also, there's a lot of noise because of people that are inside the apartment that will be going up and down the steps, probably going to the store, probably going to let other friends in. Maybe there may be like a little mini gathering or mini get-together or a party. Now, parties should be off limits. But here's the main issue. Number one, you got to make sure that the regulation is acceptable in your particular neighborhood or city or town that you plan to open up this Airbnb business. Now, once you get past that hurdle, which is a big hurdle, to make sure that you do everything the right way when starting your Airbnb business, the second thing to consider is that once you start, your reviews is the lifeline of your Airbnb business. If you get bad reviews, it will diminish the amount of bookings that you get. So everything you do from the moment you start your Airbnb business, before you even pick the place, is predicated on those reviews. So you got to make sure that you're setting up your place in a way where you have great reviews. Now, the thing to consider is to get great reviews, you need a good location to operate your Airbnb business. Your Airbnb business has to be in an area where there's transportation, because sometimes people want to travel by train or by bus, depending on where they're coming from, right? So you want to make sure that it's in a town that has that. Now, also, let's say you have an Airbnb business that is in a very rural area. I would not suggest that. I would suggest an Airbnb business that's nearby a city or in a city. If the Airbnb business is in a city or it's nearby a city, maybe let's say 20 minutes out, 30 minutes out, that's okay. However, but if it's too far away from the city, then that's not going to be too good. Oftentimes, people come to a new city and they want to explore the main attractions in that city. And most times, those attractions are in the city, right? That's where you do all your tourism. That's where you eat all the food. And you know, however, in Brooklyn, there are many different pockets where it's really good at. So, but in Brooklyn is a very unique area. But in other towns, there may be towns where the main city is in one location, and then where you have your Airbnb business could be, let's say, an hour away, 2 hours away. That's not smart to do. So make sure your Airbnb business is by a city or nearby a city. All right. The third thing to consider is that once you pick a spot, you got to decide on what type of Airbnb business you want to have. Now, you can have a room rental Airbnb apartment, meaning that, let's say you have a 3-bedroom apartment, and let's say you live in one room and you like to rent out one room and put that one room on Airbnb. Now, you can do that. However, that doesn't make the most money in Airbnb. The way to do it is to rent out the entire apartment. All right. Let's say you operate a 3-bedroom apartment. You have you have 3 king-size beds. You also have a couch. Now, what that'll do is that'll allow you to bring or to command 7 guests, right? So you could put two guests in one bed, 2 guests in another bed, 2 guests in the third bedroom, and then the living room, another guest can sleep on the couch. So you can put up to 7 guests on your Airbnb business. Now, the reason why this is good is because most people, when they're traveling, like to travel in groups and they like their private space. So because of this, you can work out a scenario where you can have 7 people pitch in, let's say $50, right? Now, that's good money because you can command $350 a night, sometimes $400 a night, $500 a night. On average, for me, where I was in Brooklyn, I was charging, let's say, $325 a night. On slow seasons, which is January and February, I would charge maybe $250 a night, $275 a night. Now, mind you, your B&B is going to be booked, let's say, 20 days out the month, right? That's on average at $325 a night. Not bad, considering if your rent is like $2,000 or $2,500. So that's off season. Now, if you can, peak season, let's say Thanksgiving and Christmas, you can charge $350, $400 a night, sometimes $500 a night, depending on what the quality is of your Airbnb. So understand that the type of Airbnb you want to get, right? So understand a 3-bedroom apartment, private to those guests, is the way to do it. Now, from there, you got to figure out the logistics, right? Who's going to clean the apartment? How you going to take photos? Who's going to take photos of the apartment? Now, if you can take photos from your from your iPhone, if you got an iPhone, and you can take some really good photos. Take a quick little tutorial on how to take good photos, put them on your Airbnb platform, or you can hire a photographer to take photos, pay them a couple $100 or so, because you want really professional photos. Also, how you decorate the Airbnb is highly important, right? You want to make sure that the decorations are top notch, right? It don't have to be crazy, but you want it to have a little bit of style. So, I mean, you can literally go to IKEA, Target, one of these type of stores. Just think about a theme. Think about a way to make sure people feel good when they walk into your place. It all adds to those reviews, right? Now, the cleaning part, as people leave the booking, the way I would do it is I would have a closet, and I would have, let's say 10 blankets, 10 sheets, 10 pillowcases, all clean, right? So now when the guests leave, I would take all the old blankets off, all the old sheets off, and I would put the blankets and sheets right on the bed. And then from there, I'll clean the old sheets. But I didn't have to clean them every single time because I had, let's say, 2 weeks worth of blankets and sheets inside the closet that were clean. And then on that last time, I would wash, let's say, 15 blankets, 15 sheets, 15 covers. Now, you have to make that investment in those blankets and sheets. I get it. But it saves a lot of time when you're going from one guest to the next, instead of you have to wash the covers, the blankets, the sheets after every single time a guest leaves. Save a lot of time that way. So then you have to consider who's going to do the washing and cleaning, right? Are you going to do it? If you do it, that means that most likely you don't have a job, right? That you can do it on your own because you have that time. But if you don't have a job, you may have to hire a cleaner lady. You have to put that into your analysis when opening and starting Airbnb. So you got to hire a cleaner lady. It's important to do so. Okay. What else we got here? Another thing is, to get great reviews, you want to make sure that you have a light breakfast, right? I would always offer like bananas, maybe some fruit, maybe some milk and little bowls of cereal, right? You know, it adds to the overall experience of the B&B. Now, this is something to consider as well, which is that when problems happen or when problems occur, never hesitate to give a partial refund or full refund to the guests, because it may help them perceive your B&B as a great experience. So never hesitate to give money back to the guests if you messed up on some parts of the service. Let's say you were late checking them in, or maybe the cleaner lady messed up with something. Whatever the case is, give them a partial refund, say you apologize, won't happen again. And in most cases, they won't write a bad review. Now, there has been cases where I've done that and they still gave me a bad review. So bad reviews are probably inevitable. You're going to get some, but just do your best job to just not be an asshole. All right. So what else do we got here? I think these are the common things to really look for when trying to start an Airbnb. Now, I'm going to give a full course soon as to how to fully dive into it step by step. I'll go into my platform and I'll show you what I did and how I did it. On that note, subscribe and hit the like button to get more content just like this. Peace.